What is up everyone, Bluray back again with another top 10 video, and today is going to be my top 10 blind buys on Blu-ray. Now this video was inspired by James Black, the movie bug. I have spoken to James and just said, look, I really liked your video, do you mind if I do one myself? And he was obviously very supportive like he always is, so thank you so much James for inspiring me to do this. So I'll leave a link to James's video down below. If you want to go and check his out after this one, that'd be great, and give him a subscription. I'm sure you all know who James is by now, but I've just been looking through my collection here and came up with 10 movies that I actually remember at the time getting, and just thinking, well, what's this all about? It looks good from the cover or whatever, but I'll explain a little bit more when I get to them of how I come about of picking it up. And these aren't the best movies in the world or anything like that, but I have tried to go from order from 10 to 1, what I think is the best in that order, if you like. So without further ado, let's get into it with number 10. Number 10 is going to be Mother's Day. This is a horror thriller movie about these three brothers who've, I think they've robbed a bank or something, and they decide to go and, you know, take cover in their mother's house. But little do they know their mother has actually moved house. They haven't spoken to her for a while, and this family are living in the home. So they go in, and it's sort of turned into a home invasion movie because they think they've broke into the mother's house and sort of, you know, got rid of the mother, but because they think, oh, the mother would never sell this house and stuff. And then they actually get their mum down to explain the situation, and she is like more sinister than the brothers, and it turned into a really violent and, you know, hostage situation type deal. It's a really fun movie, but it's really brutal in places as well. I remember looking at this and just thinking this will be a cheap ass horror movie that no one talked about, straight to VOD, and it'll be alright. But it actually exceeded my expectations. I was actually kind of thinking, wow, this is actually really well done. And this Rebecca de Monray character, she as the mother, she was great. It's a really good movie, and if you like your violence and bloodshed and, you know, typical brutality, this is one to watch. So pick that one up really cheap. Mother's Day is number 10. Number 9 is going to be Dolores Claiborne. Now the reason I picked this one up is because Stephen King, you know, Kathy Bates. There, I just went off that. I just watched the movie Misery for the first time a couple of years ago, and I thought it was absolutely one of the best films I'd ever seen. And I found out that this was made just afterwards, based on another Stephen King novel, and they've decided to cast Kathy Bates in it. So I thought, well, you know, they're trying to make lightning strike twice there sort of type deal, but I'll get it. It was on the HMV Premium Collection, the 2 for $15. I couldn't really miss, could I? So I had to pick it up. This is basically about this woman played by Kathy Bates, who is accused of murdering this woman she cares for. So she cares for this rich woman who's a bit of an arsehole, and I think it's the delivery man finds her standing over this woman's body with a like this kitchen ornament, and it looks like she's killed her basically. So her daughter decides to come down, who she hasn't spoke to for 15 years, and see what's happening. The reason she hasn't spoke to her daughter for 15 years is because she actually thinks that Kathy Bates killed her husband, so her father basically, and she's gone away with it. So she's got reason to believe that she probably has committed this other murder as well. But it goes back and forth, you know, to the present, and when this young girl was a kid and her mother was sort of with the abusive father and stuff like that. It's a really, you know, thought-provoking thriller, if you like. And it is more to meet the eye, so you're kind of guessing all the way through is to Kathy Bates actually guilty or innocent. You don't quite know, because she seems like a character you can kind of latch onto, but there's mysterious things about her. I wouldn't say it's anywhere near as good as Misery, but it is a really strong thriller, and I really enjoyed it. So my only letdown was Jennifer Jason Leigh, who plays Kathy Bates' daughter. Wasn't given a great performance in this movie. Her character was really unlikable, but apart from that, I thought it was a decent film. So that is Dolores Claiborne at number 9. Coming in at number 8 is Devil. Yes, we're getting quite a few thriller movies here, aren't we? This is definitely more into the realms of horror, I feel, and this is about 5 people basically just stuck in a lift. All these different types of people. There's an old woman, you know, a middle-aged man and stuff, you know, just your typical different random humans basically, and they're stuck in this lift, and every time the lights go out, they come back on and someone has been killed. So it's a really mysterious film, and you don't quite know. You think you know the devil is sort of doing it and is in the lift with them as one of these people, but you're guessing all the way through it till the end. And sometimes when you think it's going to be this person, they end up dead, and when the lights go out again. So it's a typical, you know, whodunit movie, if you like, but in a very clever way. I like the way it all takes place in this elevator shaft. And this is actually written by M. Night Shyamalan, so you can expect some twists and turns along the way here. But I just picked this up because I'd seen it in the store and went, oh, devil, what's that? Read the back and thought that sounds like my type of movie, so I just picked it up and I was really pleasantly surprised. It has got a very M. Night Shyamalan feel to it, even though he didn't direct the thing. He did produce it though. I thought it was a really, really clever movie, so yeah, I got this really cheap as well. Number 8 is Devil. Number 7 is going to be Hobo with a Shotgun, and I was just looking at the cover of this movie and was like, what the hell is this all about? So if you can see that cover for yourselves there, looks pretty crazy on the front. So I just thought, Rutger Hauer, looks like a grindhouse type movie, and then when I bought the damn thing, I actually realised before I watched it that this was actually a trailer segment in the movie Grindhouse. So yes, when you remember that Quentin Tarantino movie with Death Proof and then Planet Terror on the other part, I never actually watched that film as a two-way segment. I just watched Death Proof on its own and Planet Terror on its own. I don't think they released it here in the UK properly like that. I may be mistaken. If they did at the time, I never went to cinema to see it, but there was a couple of trailers in the middle, and Hobo with a Shotgun was one of them, and they decided to make that into a film. I think Machete was another one, which they made into a film as well. But this is by far the most violentest movie I have ever seen in my life. I know you might think I'm just jumping to conclusions there and thinking, oh yeah, he's just saying that, but no, I'm not. This is so violent. This pushes the boundaries of cinema violence. There are people's heads pulled off by cars. You know, there's kids burnt with flamethrowers on a school bus. Yes, little kids. So you know what to expect when going into this one. It's a word of warning. But it's basically about this town that is run by this criminal empire and his two sons, and the two sons are always battling it out to see who is, you know, the most violent out of the other one. And the father is obviously, you know, crazy as well, and Rutger Hauer is fed up and he's going to sort of get some revenge basically, and try and rid the city of all this terribleness that's in there, all this like toxicity and violence that's in there. And he sets out on a mission. He's like this little tramp in the movie. Great performance by him. I love him in The Hitcher, so it's good to see him put another great performance in here. But definitely give this a go if you want something different. There's a little bit of black comedy involved. I think there has to be, with the violence that's involved in this, there had to be a comedic tone to it. But it doesn't take away from the shock value, if you like. So yeah, number 7 is Hobo with a Shotgun. Number 6 is going to be Incident in a Ghostland. Now I remember Arrow were having this sale, and I picked up Lords of Chaos, but I was going to put that one in this video. It was like 2 for £15 or something, but I did know a little bit about Lords of Chaos when I picked it up, and I thought, you know what, Arrow have got some other titles here that I just made like a year or two ago. I think this one might have been 2017 or 2019, 18, something like that. And I just read the back and thought, you know what, I'm going to grab this one as well in the sale along with Lords of Chaos. And this was a really chiller movie, way better than I thought it was going to be. And sometimes with Arrow you get a really B-movie feel to them, but this was actually really well made. Looked great actually on Blu-ray, by the way. And this is about a mother and her 2 children who go to move to this house, and on the way this like ice cream truck is next to them, and it won't leave them alone on the road, and they're kind of freaked out by it. And when they get to the house, they have been followed by this ice cream van with these 2 individuals in it. And this really does follow a traumatic experience afterwards, and it just lives with one of these children for the rest of her life. She can't stop thinking about it. It's basically ruined her life, and it goes on and how she deals with it, the aftermath, how she lives her life, how she's getting on with it, and it has a very, very clever ending to it. Now, I don't want to say too much more about this because it's definitely best knowing as little as possible going in, like I did, blind buy video. But I thought this was a really creepy movie at times. It's actually quite scary, and it's really, really well done. And at the end, I was just like, wow, that was really clever. So, yeah, number 6 is Incident in a Ghostland. Number 5 is going to be Bridge to Terabithia. Now, admittedly, I did not buy this one. This was actually given to me from my fiance's brother. He gave me like 30 Blu-rays that he didn't want because he was just getting rid of all of his physical media. And I looked at this and went, oh, don't know if this is for me. Fantasy type film, never heard of it. And just put it on the back of the shelf there. And I recently watched it this year, and I thought it was actually really, really great. It's basically about these two kids who decide to become friends because they're kind of outsiders in school and they live next door to each other. Kind of reminded me of Forrest Gump and Jenny. In the movie Forrest Gump, it's kind of that same setting in the countryside, and they live next to each other in these big houses. That's what it reminded me of, their friendship. And basically they find this little place at the back of their house in these woods, and they decide to imagine it as this fantasy place where they can go and play, and they become best friends. It's really fun to see the world that they imagine, and you know, how they create in their minds and share it with one another. But this definitely has one of the most devastating and emotionally impactful moments I have ever seen in a film. About halfway through, I was just didn't want to believe what had just happened. It really does hit you in the feels, and that's what really made this movie something to remember for me. The whole story's great and stuff, but when that happened, I was like, oh my god, this movie is taking no prisoners. This doesn't mess around. But overall, I really enjoyed this one. I thought it was great. And for one that I didn't care about, it was one of the best films I think I've seen this year for a first time watch anyway. You know, made from any movie that was made not from 2021, because I do a list at the end of the year, my top 20 first time watches that weren't from that year. This is probably going to be in there. So number 5 is Bridge to Terabithia. Number 4 is going to be The New Kids. Now this is from the 101 Films Black Label, and I didn't really know anything about it when 101 Films were releasing this. I thought, that doesn't look like my type of film at all. What the hell is that? And the only reason I picked it up is because it was recommended to me by John from Mondo Chelovic Movies. He didn't even recommend it to me, he just said it was a good film on his channel. And I seen it in the sale and thought, you know what, I'm just going to take a chance on this. So it was kind of a blind buy. Like I said, I had heard the recommendation, but that's all I knew about the movie. I knew nothing about it. So I'll leave John's channel down below, by the way. But this is basically about this brother and sister in their teenage years. They're still in high school and stuff, and their mum and dad are killed right at the start of the movie in a car accident. And they have to go and move and live with their uncle and aunt. And they sort of own this funfair attraction at the back of their house. It's a weird setting really, but what happens with this, these guys at school, these bullies if you like, sort of take a bet on who's going to have sex with the sister first. And she's not interested in any of them, and her brother sort of has to protect her. But these bullies will go to any extreme to get what they want by terrorising her aunt and uncle's farm basically, and this house, this attraction that they've got. It is kind of a farmhouse, but they'll do anything they can to get to this female character, and it really does go to some really hard-hitting levels. There's some really violent stuff happening in here, and it ends in a big showdown. But there's some animal cruelty in there, so be aware. It's kind of hard-hitting, I feel. The bullies are all great characters, and these two, you really do champion them in the film to overcome them and, you know, really give the bullies the comeuppance they deserve. I thought this was great, and like I said, I picked it up in the 101 Film sale for $9.99. They usually have a sale now and then, But love this little box, you know, get a little booklet inside, quite a few special features on the back. I love these editions, and to be honest, every one of these I picked up I really enjoyed, so I will definitely watch this again at some point. It's got that 80s feel, directed by Sean S. Cunningham, I believe, who made Friday the 13th, so there you go. So I definitely recommend this if you're out Blu-ray hunting and want something a little bit different with that 80s feel in there. So yeah. Number 4 is The New Kids. I keep losing count of what number we're on, but number 4 is The New Kids. Number 3 is going to be Changeling. Now, this is directed by Clint Eastwood, I believe, and this stars Angelina Jolie. About his son has gone missing. I think this takes place in the 1920s, 1928, and this is basically a true story. And she is just dealing with this grief because her son's gone missing, and she just can't, she keeps seeing him all over the town, and it's just basically her trying to find him and get him back, and remembering him, all the good times she had with him and stuff. But is his son still out there? She believes that he is. And at the same time, in this town, this guy is going around and killing kids. Yeah, there's a serial killer on the loose who's kidnapped a load of kids, and Angelina's son, Jolie's son, may in fact be one of them. There's some hard-hitting scenes in this movie with this, you know, this guy, this serial killer. Don't want to go too much into it, but at times I was like, Jesus Christ. But it's all based on a true story. I actually looked up this serial killer after the film, and it did actually happen. So I don't really want to go too much into detail. It's best just not knowing too much and just following this story, kind of like I did, blind by video again. But I thought this was incredible. I recommended it to my friend Kyle. He watched it and went, wow, mate, that movie was great. So yeah, it's just a typical, you know, strong drama, and I highly recommend it. I've put it quite high on this list. So number 3 is Changeling. Angelina Jolie, by the way, is also great in this movie. Number 2 is going to be Bad Day at Black Rock. This is actually a premium collection title, and I don't own the damn cover. I picked this one up in CEX. I wish I had the slip cover, but what? I'm not going to lose sleep over it. But this was such a hidden gem. I had no idea what this was going to be like, and I was blown away by it. This is only an hour and 20 minutes long, but it's basically about this guy, played by Spencer Tracy, who gets off in this town, on this train. He gets on this train and gets off at this town, and it's kind of like a western type feel to it, and no one has got off this train in 4 years to this town, and all the locals are very wary of him. They kind of, you know, don't want him there at all, and they're trying to tease him and do anything they can to get rid of him, but Spencer Tracy will just carry on just going about his business, trying his best to ignore them all. And as the film goes on, it unravels a mystery of why these characters don't want him there, and it's just so fun to find out what has actually happened, you know, all these years ago, and why he's decided to come now and find out and investigate basically all these locals. I love the way it was filmed. This little town just felt like the center of the universe, and there was like 4 stores. But you just can't take your eyes off the screen. I just love how it was made. It's just a great feel to it, and I had so much fun with this movie. Really, really great film. So if the premium collection's ever on again, definitely pick this up. You might look at it and go, oh, I don't know about that. I kind of did, but when I watched it, I was just like, wow, that was such a fun time. So definitely worth a go. I think it's from 1955. This may have been nominated for the Oscar. I can't quite remember. I may have heard that, so it's not that much of a hidden gem, but yeah, great movie, highly recommended. Number 1 though is going to be Blue Velvet. Now, the only reason I picked this up is because I looked at it in store and went, what's this? And then I seen David Lynch's name on the back. I thought, you know, I've heard of this director. I've heard he's meant to be good. Haven't seen any of his movies. So I just quickly went online while I was in the shop and went, oh, this is meant to be one of his best, I'll start with this one. And Dennis Hopper was in it, which pushed me even further because I'm a big fan of the movie Speed. I was absolutely blown away by this movie. This is one of the best films I've ever seen in my life. If I'd done like a top 100, this would probably be in it. Just a phenomenal movie. The way David Lynch directs this, it has this really strange feel to it, like he does in all of his films. It's kind of like, I can't explain, but it's kind of like the characters are the focal point, and he sort of puts this weird blur on the background. I've always found that with a lot of his films, but it totally works so well. I love the little town location that it takes place in. So it's basically about I forgot the guy's name. He's in Dune. Kyle MacLachlan. he knows something. There's something strange going on with this woman, and people keep going in and out of her apartment, and he decides to enlist the help of the woman off Jurassic Park, whose name I forgot, Laura Dern. He decides to enlist her help. She's like this local girl who lives next door, and he's got the hots for her basically. They decide to investigate what's going on with this woman in this apartment, why people are going in and out, and you know, they take a lot of risks to find out. He's like, wants to be this wannabe detective, and it all basically starts by this ear that he finds on the floor. He finds a severed ear which links it to this woman's apartment and stuff. But there's so much more to it than that. You know, Frank Booth, played by Dennis Hopper, is involved in this story with this woman, and he is just like one of the greatest villains ever. He's so weird. And I think this is a very good way to start off your Lynch journey, if you like, because a lot of his movies are very strange, but this one is definitely strange, but not too out there. You can follow it. You can follow it easily, but you know, it does go into strange territory at the same time, but not too much of the either. It's definitely the perfect one to start with, I think, and definitely one of his best. I am a Lynch fanatic after watching this film. I love all the movies I've seen from him, and he's one of my favourite directors of all time now. And it all started with me looking at this DVD, or Blu-ray, sorry, in the store. So number one is Blue Velvet. Check this movie out. Okay guys, I hope you all enjoyed this top 10 blind buys video. Thank you so much, James Lack, for inspiring me to do this. I had a fun little time going through these movies again. So, is there any great blind buys you've picked up in the past? If you want to leave them down below, I'll get back to you all, I promise. What do you think of these movies? Have I sort of intrigued you to pick them up? Let me know. I always reply to everyone in the comments. Thank you so much, everyone. And if you want to make one of these videos, it'd be great to see as well if you're a YouTuber watching this. Take it all easy, guys. See you all next video.